What is up, guys? I do hope you're well. My name is Mark, and today we're looking at some more /entitled parents. If you're new here, please consider hitting that like, that subscribe, and maybe that notification bell, as it truly does help me out. I can't tell you how much it does. And with that being said, let's get straight into today's stories. Much love, guys. Our first story is from It's Still My TV. Entitled parents let kids steal and eat my emergency candy stash. Type 1 diabetic. I'm a family law mediator and work at a downtown courthouse. There's no food or drink allowed, and the closest store is about a mile away. Despite this, my supervisors allow me to have my own stash of candy in my office in case of emergency. I'm a type 1 diabetic, and sometimes I need a bit of sugars. It's just a small Ziploc bag with M&Ms. Anyway, yesterday morning I was mediating a couple over custody of their twin 8-year-old boys. They all showed up in pyjamas/sweats, and the parents couldn't be bothered to control their children. The twins were running around the table, standing on the chairs and spinning in them, smearing their hands on the windows, just being disruptive. At one point, they started tugging at their mum and begging for something to eat. It had been only 30 minutes. The EM said, "Where is your vending machine?" I said, "We don't have one of those, I'm sorry." "Well, why not?" "Food isn't allowed in the building, Mum, but our session is almost over." The first kid said, "She's lying, Mum, I saw food in the candy drawer." Kid 2 lit up when he heard this, ran towards me, knocking over documents from the table and pushing my arm out the way and opened up my candy drawer. It wasn't a candy drawer, by the way, it was just a drawer I kept my stationery supplies and my M&Ms. I stood up in between the kid and the drawer as he rummaged through it. Completely irritated at this point, I closed the drawer and asked his parents if they wanted to reschedule. The ED said, "You almost slammed my boy's hand over some candy." That was a gross exaggeration, of course. I told him I need the candy because of my diabetes, to which EM gave me an incredibly dirty look. The EM said, "If you've got diabetes, you don't need the candy. Just let them have some for Christ's sake." I said, "I'm a type 1 diabetic. I'm sorry, but we're going to need to reschedule." ED started arguing with EM about how she always ruins everything, and EM responded by doubling down on her stance. EM said, "She's wanting to kick us out because sugar is like drugs to diabetics." ED and EM continued to argue, and as I went to call in security, Kid 1 stuck his foot out and tried to trip me. Luckily I didn't fall, but he distracted me just enough for Kid 2 to pull open the drawer and take the bag. The twins started running around, tossing the M&Ms at each other and trying to catch them in their mouths, while the entitled parents continued to yell at each other. I called security, which stopped the entitled parents arguing. The EM said, "Are you seriously calling security over candy?" I think that was the point I lost all professionalism. I said I needed that in case my blood sugar got too low. Now look, it's all over my carpet and your kid's hands. Security came up and the twins tried to bolt out of the room, unsuccessfully. ED and security nearly got into a fight before being forced to leave. I took my break early and got another bag of M&Ms. Our next story is from AngelFire224. Inject my son with orange juice. I'm currently working as a professional mental health nurse. This incident took place back when I was a student nurse and was posted in a paediatric ward. We had a boy in the general ward who had been admitted with a case of viral fever, I think. By the time I started my posting, he had been there for 3 to 4 days. As soon as he entered the ward, the EM hounded me. EM said, "Excuse me, I've been saying the same thing over and over again, but you people just don't listen, do you?" I said, "Well, hello mum, I'm sorry, but what seems to be the problem here? This is my first day here and I don't really know," and she cuts me off. "Well then why are you here if you don't know anything? Go back and send someone who is not as stupid as you. Though I highly doubt anyone in this hospital really has a brain." I said, "I apologise again ma'am, but if you could just tell me what's wrong then I might be able to sort it out." "Well, I've been telling your people for the past few days that my son doesn't like apple juice. He likes orange juice and you should give him that, but nobody's listening to me. He's still getting apple juice and even that is of really bad quality." I said, "Okay, it seems like the good folks down in the kitchen have it wrong. Don't worry mum, I'll consult with a nutritionist and we'll have this sorted out in no time." EM just scoffed and marched away. I talked with a nutritionist and asked why the kid was being forced to take apple juice when he didn't like it, but she told me that the kid wasn't getting apple juice. In fact, he wasn't getting any juice at all. He was getting milk with almost every meal. Now I was confused. I talked to the EM and she shouted at me how stupid I was like the rest of the staff. Just then, breakfast arrived. Sure enough, the kid had milk and not juice. I said, "Mum, the nutritionist suggested milk for your kid and that's what he's getting. He's not getting apple juice." She said, "No you idiot, he gets that with his lunch, not breakfast." Deciding to see what the issue was once and for all, I promised her I'd come back at lunchtime to settle the issue. Lunch arrived and the kid got, you guessed it, milk. Again, I pointed this out to the EM and she said the kid gets apple juice after the lunch. Okay, what? I was really puzzled then. Just then, a nurse arrived to administer the afternoon medications. The EM then says, see now, he'll be getting the nasty apple juice. Just then, the nurse hung a bag of saline by the kid's bedside and injected a vial of MVI, multivitamin infusion, in it and connected it with the kid's IV line. The MVI injections we had in our hospital were yellow coloured and smelled like someone just farted for 3 days worth of tacos. And that's when I had the epiphany of what had been the EM's issue. And being the considerate creature she was, she confirmed my suspicions with a horrible screech. See, I told you, apple juice, nasty smelling apple juice. I was silent. She said, well, say something. Mom, that's not apple juice, it's an injection. And she cuts me off again. Don't you dare lie to me. Everyone else has been saying the same thing, but I know the truth. You people have orange juice. I've seen it. Give my son that. Put orange juice in that bag. All subsequent attempts to explain to her failed. She screamed loudly and disturbed other patients as well. The attending physician heard all the commotion and came to see what the matter was. He also tried to explain to her that her son in fact had been given an injection, but she refused to believe we weren't injecting her son with apple juice and that juice couldn't be given intravenously. The doctor said, fine, if this is apple juice, then I suppose you wouldn't mind a taste. And with that, the awesome doctor disconnected the IV line and poured some of that nasty apple juice in a plastic cup and shoved it under the EM's nose, who promptly gagged. The doctor said, oh please, have some juice and we'll give your son a different one. You'll like it, I promise. Naturally, EM refused. She never asked for orange juice again, but I heard from other patients that the EM had been blabbering about suing us for injecting her son with some bad quality apple juice and then making a fool of her. And that's the true reason, folks, why Thanos wanted to eradicate us. Maybe he had one too many encounters with unhinged EPs. Yes, inject my child with some acidic juice. Jesus Christ. Our next story is from Hollow V. Ex-stepmom releases my cats into the wild. Hooray, my first post in this subreddit. This happened about 7 years ago now, and I'm still mad about it. When I was 11, my dad bought me a cat for my birthday. He was an orange fluffball named Angelo, and I loved him so much. Everything was my responsibility. Cleaning the litter box, giving him food, brushing, etc. Anything you need to do to take care of a cat. A year later, I got a tiny grey kitten named Dexter. They were my babies. Then the world fell apart. I never believed in a wicked stepmother stereotype until this. My dad and stepmom's fighting got worse and worse, to the point where she would hit my dad. Her and her son would do nothing but complain about the things my dad did. So my dad got out of there and I went to stay with my mum while he looked for a new place to live. Everything was going fine until things started getting split in the divorce. By terms of divorce, number 1, her son's car had to be put in her name so my dad wouldn't pay for it. That's another story entirely. Number 2, all of my dad's and my things had to be returned to our new apartment. Number 3, I got to keep my cats. Apparently, my stepmom didn't like number 3. She wouldn't return my cats. My dad contacted his lawyer multiple times to try and get Angelo and Dexter, but she kept refusing. Finally, my dad threatened to take her to court so that he could get the cats back. But wait, what's this? She doesn't have the cats anymore. She actually confessed that she released my cats in the middle of nowhere, and we have a lot of coyotes near where we live, so unless they were picked up by someone, they were almost definitely killed. Stepmom then told my dad he could have the house. She packed her things and left the state. I miss my cats. I haven't been able to get any since Angelo and Dexter, but I really hope to get one in the future. But I have a new stepmom now, and she's the nicest person in the world, so sort of happy ending. Edit, a lot of people saying that we should sue for animal cruelty because of what my stepmom did. But the big reason we didn't, because even if we sued, it wouldn't bring my cats back. We tried calling shelters and putting up missing posters, but we never found anything. Even if we sued, it would give money and not my cats. It was really the idea that no amount of money would be able to bring back those 2 cats, and at the time, I wasn't ready to replace them. I hope this answers people's questions about that. Damn man, what a bitch. Our next story is from Mark for Pie. Apparently, I'm a free babysitting service. I've been seeing an increase of Christian EPs, so I thought I would add in one. I grew up as a pastor's kid, and the amount of entitlement I've seen is astounding. This is one story that came to mind. People tend to see pastors' kids as an extension of the church and not as real people, so we'd constantly have people taking advantage of us and my parents would make us go along with it. There was a lady that attended our church that had 3 small children, aged 3 to 6. I was about 15 years old. The lady would often drop her kids off for free babysitting at our house. My parents would of course say it was fine, and I would be stuck watching them. One day she decided that she needed free babysitting and dropped them off without any extra clothes or anything. The first day, the youngest kid was sitting in my lap and threw up all over herself. I gave her a bath and found a long shirt for her to wear while I washed her clothes. The night EP never showed up to pick up the kids, so I put them to bed in my bed and slept on the floor. The little girl peed my bed, and her older sister informed me that she wasn't potty trained, and EP said that I would buy pull-ups for her. I informed my mother, who went out and got some. Then all 3 kids started throwing up and had fevers. We tried calling EP, but she didn't answer. The next day we managed to get hold of EP, who told me that she was not able to pick the kids up until the next day, so I had 3 sick kids for 2 days. She finally showed up the next afternoon, and I told her that kids had been sick. The EP said, "Oh, I know, that's why I needed a babysitter. Their grandma said that she wouldn't watch them if they were sick, and I needed a break." The next day, I was homesick and EP showed up at my house and my parents weren't home. She tried dropping her kids off and I refused and told her that I was home sick from school. She replied that I should be able to watch her kids because I was home. I refused. She then called my mother and tried convincing her that she needed me to watch them because she had a hair appointment. My mother told her no because I was sick and would get them sick. She responded saying that they were already sick and she didn't have daycare, so I should just stay home and watch them for a couple of days until they were all better. I shut the door in her face. My mother never made me babysit for her again. Oh my god, who does that stuff? Who goes around people's house? Yeah, just have my kids, they're sick. I need some time to myself. You spawn those kids, you look after them, sick or not. Jesus Christ. But taking advantage of people like that, that's just ridiculous, man. And a 15-year-old having to deal with 3 sick kids, bath them, change them, having to sleep on the floor and then pissing in your bed. Whew, it's making me mad. Anyway guys, just a short one today because I've missed doing some readings. The last couple of days I've just been having a chill because my brain's been going overload, but I really wanted to do a read today, so I thought I'd throw this in there. I hope you did enjoy it. If you did, please click that like button because you know how much it helps me, and of course comment below because that also helps me massively and keeps me going. It keeps my channel going, keeps me inspired to make more. Thank you so much, and I will see you on the next one. Much love guys.